So, welcome. This is our first podcast. This is First Step Motivation with Cristiano Marquez, and we are just trying to introduce you guys to the team and get to know a little bit more about the history behind First Step Motivation and Cristiano's career. So, yeah, Cristiano Marquez.
It's a pleasure to be invited and to take part of this podcast. It's great, and from the bottom of my heart, this is what I want to continue to do, to bring science-based information to demystification what is not working, the diet fad, the workout with no science-based, and so many things people saying over there that doesn't help anyone. We're here to help, and we're here to bring the best content to help you that is watching and supporting us. Thank you.
Today, we're going to learn a little bit more about what First Step Motivation is and who is Cristiano Marquez behind First Step Motivation. So, in a brief comment, can you tell us a bit about you and First Step Motivation?
Sure. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you very much for having me in and for this great opportunity for me to introduce myself and to present more about First Step Motivation and our philosophy and bring some content in regards to training and diet. First Step Motivation have been founded back in 2012, where I used to train for a few years back then, and I fell in love with training and diet and so on. I've decided to start to learn more and to do the course that was required for me to become qualified in order for me to train clients. At first was not something that I believed that would be a lifetime career. But I had one idea. Motivation was the main thing for anyone to start with a new project. So I had motivation in mind. So motivation is a motive for action. I believe that's very important. Many people over there saying that what's most important is motivation, is discipline. So I do believe motivation is what will get you started. So then I say motivation, and people will need to have the first step. So first step motivation basically is what motivates you. What's the reason that you're going to start? That's where I went to a local shop and I had someone who helped me to design a logo, very basic. We changed the logo throughout the years, probably 3 to 4 times. And he helped me to buy the domain and to organize very basic few things first. And I came to the conclusion that first step motivation. And I did not know back then what's motivation about, what's the philosophy, and actually what's the terminology and what's the actual meaning of motivation. I knew the basic, and nowadays, probably over 13 years after, I believe that I've made the right choice in order to choose this name. Still making a lot of sense now, up to now, nowadays is very so it's very useful. And Cristiano Marquez, myself, I've said a little bit how First Step Motivation has been chosen. Cristiano Marquez behind First Step Motivation, it's me. So I start to train in Spain. Most people usually start to train. That's a big belief that I have. That's the main focus people have, is self-confidence, is to overcome a situation where they rather feel with low self-esteem after a breakup of a relationship or feel overweight or too skinny. Too skinny was my case. I always wants to, I've never thought about I could be very muscular, but I wanted to cover the bones popping out on my shirt. And I had a dream to wear a medium top and to sort of feel the arms a little bit, not be, you know, lose
Yeah.
so much. So that was the main purpose. I started to train in 2007 in Spain. I'm 6'1". I was 6'1" back then. And I used to weigh around 60 kilos. So very skinny for my height. And my first goals was to reach 70 kgs. I believed that I would look okay. My self-confidence would go up. And it did. Worked really well. And that was very, very helpful in all areas of my life. And I did not know that I would have discipline to follow a diet plan. I did not know that I could use the discipline to change, to apply in other areas of my life. Then I moved to UK in 2008. And again, at first, I couldn't train because I did not have money to pay a gym membership. I was juggling, trying to work, to learn a little bit of English, but the gym had have back then helped me again because as soon as I joined the local leisure centre where I used to live in northwest London, I've met people, I've met some guys, a group of guys, Jamaica guys who liked, for some reason, the way I was lifting, the way I was training, and they approached me, talking in English or maybe patois, not so sure, and they wants to train with me. They wants to join my session the next day. So we use the Google Translate to communicate, and I start to train with these guys. Those guys say it was really good, very convenient for me because I start to learn English from then. And I had another job back then, so I wasn't a personal trainer yet. So this is just a brief how I started and why I become a trainer and what's the foundation behind it. So fast forward, I realized by receiving feedback from these guys that I was good, even though the English was not there, but good to explain the technique. And I had good technique myself. I come from a very, very good school, which is a gym called Argos Gym in Spain. So I had this professor called Felix. He was amazing. He was very methodic with his technique. Back then, I did not like as much because I was young and I was just, perceiving that he was very picking. But a few years after, down the line, I realized his way of prioritize execution over weight and technique of execution was the best way even nowadays. So I assume that's why those guys they approached to me at the gym floor and they wants to train with me. So the job I had first wasn't something that was really appealing, wasn't really fulfilled me. And I wanted to become a trainer back then, but with a wrong purpose. The reason I wanted to become a trainer back then because I believed that I was going to make a lot of money. I was be tax free and I was going to have massive opportunity to chat to many girls on the gym floor and to, flirting and having fun. So I did the course and I start to work as a trainer. Fast forward, I've realized everything that I believed that was going to take me that was going to be, it was the main purpose that I had to become a trainer, was totally opposite. So, of course, it's not tax free. You need to pay tax. Back then, as a self employed, after as a limited company, I could not chat to a woman unless was to sell a session and to be very professional. Otherwise, that would go wrong. And third, it would be some easy money, and it's not, because before I started training clients, I used to wake up late. I used to go bed late as well. So be a very early bird. That was not in my DNA, and it had to become. I started to have to be on my feet just after 4 a.m. every single day, as the very popular time schedule for trainers in London is 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and so on. So that's where everything started. But I realized after what I believed before that would be so much fun, so much money, and so on. When I realized that was totally the opposite, was when I started to see another purpose of being a trainer, which was helping people and have the satisfaction beyond money, that when people leave the gym, they leave with a better feeling that when they walked in. That's when the full purpose of me being a trainer has started.
Okay. So based on that, obviously that's very interesting. But in regards to your experience and your first clients, you basically are really well known because of your transformations. So talk to us from your first transformation. Was
Correct.
that already something that was in the books in your first step motivation methods, or did that just gradually come in after? How is that process? And do you remember your first transformation?
Yes, indeed. And I believe that was my signature, the transformation. Simple, because when I started, he spoke into a more experienced trainer back then. He told me I had to do a course or try to do something to become more communicative, more charismatic, because a trainer in London and UK needs to be going to, treadmill to treadmill, talking to people, being more charismatic, being, more sociable. And I always been that very shy boy. And some people would say I'm charismatic, some people not. And I've never liked the idea of going to from one treadmill to the other and say, "Hey, how's your training going?" And I was like, okay, I need to have another tool. I need to have another way of attracting clients. Then another trainer working the same place, he told me, okay, so if you build a very good physique and walk on the gym floor in a vest, that might be attractive. And people say, oh, I want to look like you. Then I was like, again, that's not very convincing, because I want to help people is about the clients and the lives that I can help to transform to better. It's not about myself. And I decided to be more wearing tracksuit and covering my body. And I said, so okay, the first one is not me. So being very good at marketing, sales, charismatic, communicative, having a great physique. My genetic wasn't and is not the one for me to be very easy walking around with 5% body fat and 100 kgs. Then I said, okay, so what's next? Then I had someone else. The third trainer was a little bit older guy. He said, right, so if the first one is not for you, the second one you prefer not to go for that. The third one is if you become very knowledgeable and you read, you attend to course, you study more, probably going to university at some point, and helping people to go from A to Z, help people to then look good, because that would be your portfolio. Then I was like, wow, I like that. I really want to do that. That's what I want to do. Where can I sign? How can I do it?
Mhm.
So moving fast forward, I was already working as a trainer. I've done the very basic course at first, level 3 was the one I was required in the UK. Then I start to attend to different courses. I was looking for a course about nutrition. I've done a IFBB bodybuilding nutrition. I was buying books. I was, sign up for course using the very good nutritionists in Brazil. We have great nutritionists over there. So I was buying online course, and I eventually end up with some sort of knowledge to help people to walk into to the gym floor to see me for the very first time, overweight, and 12 to 16 weeks after, they've been in a very good shape using my knowledge, my approach, and that's where I had the first very good transformation. First and second was very much in a very similar time. And those two people was very well known back then. He's starting up social media, and that's where the marketing started. That's where people start to come to me, say, "Hey, I've seen how this person changed, and I want similar results." And everything has flowed from there. But I've never stopped to invest in myself, invest in knowledge, invest on studying, and for the last 13 years, I've invested so much money on education. I invested so much time on education, and I what has changed from then until now is that now I have more tools, and now I have, I would say, not easier ways, but more more tools to individualize a process for anyone that comes to me with a body transformations, body recomposition goals to achieve it. So if anyone comes to me that they really want it and they're willing to pay the price, they will achieve great results.
Yeah, so this is what differentiates you from the rest of the, trainers out there. One, I feel like the experience that you have gained and also the knowledge from studying, self-study and looking, and also you're someone that has clients that have been with you for not just 1 or 2 or 3 years. You've had clients for 4, 5 years plus. So that already is a good demonstration of the fact that people see the value of consistently having this person week by week, year after year, training with you. So, yeah, let's go into some other questions now.
Yeah, the loyalty of my client is one thing that I'm very proud of, because I did have people in the past that he was already into training, to diet, and had already lifestyle in place. But most of the clients that I have that has been with me for over 10 years is clients that they come over with a very short-term goals. I want to do 2 months just to improve myself a little bit. But the secret, the loyalty, is the relationship and results. So those two matching together is what makes my clients, even the ones that just plan to just schedule and plan to stay with me for 2 months, they staying for 10 years, because they will have much more than just someone to count the reps. They will have someone that will help them in the nutrition aspect, mindset, training, and some other areas of life. And they will feel comfortable to come to me 3, 4, 5 times a week to have a very good conversation without interrupting the training. And the result is one of the main things. They will certainly achieve their goals.
So let's go into a different topic now. You tend to train females over 30 plus, I would say. Obviously, you train guys as well. But can we talk a little bit about the health aspects and obviously nutritional aspects after 30? So, a lot of people have, myths, and there are a lot of hormonal changes after you hit 30. So, should what type of foods, let's say, are restricted, that or myths, diet myths at the moment, that you feel like is just
I I like that you mentioned twice about myths because I believe most of it is myths or is trending that is a lot of the times also myths. That after faith, your metabolism will slow down. That's a myth. What is slow down, it tend to be for females after they hit pre-menopause. It
right.
will depend on the age, but usually after 40. What it tend to happen is the changing of the lifestyle. Many females after faith, when they have kids, the dynamics of life changed. And that's when the body it starts to lose the composition of being toned, of being with, good quality of lean muscle mass and definition. The main thing I believe for females after faith is the change of the lifestyle, is not the metabolism that has is slowing down. Because if you look at studies, the percentage that the metabolism slows down from 20 to 30 is very close to nothing. So, but we must agree that after the first kid they have, it becomes very limited for them to go to the gym, and they were eventually picking on the kids' foods, and their stress levels a lot of the times tend to increase. That's where they start to see the body composition changing to worse. Then they tend to blame, I am too old. No, you're not. At 30, you still can make progress. Your metabolism is not too low. There are no a there is no a specific food that will increase your metabolism. That is a myth. There are no source of food that will make you looking better by a food source alone.
Okay. So let's talk about protein. Has protein become something too trendy right now? Like, what can you say about that? Is it really important to have your protein intake high, let's say for females over 30? What's your opinion about that?
High protein diet had a point where it was very, very trending. Lately, I believe from last year, some big people on the mainstream media has started to bring the low protein diet, thinking about longevity. So I believe the first question I would have, if you ask me, is that important or not? Should females over 30 have high protein or low protein? I would straight away get back to you asking you, what's your goals?
Right.
Why high protein would be important for more specific for a female? As you hitting, as you getting close to menopause, one of the characteristic of menopause for most females is the muscle loss. And two main things that will prevent you to have a degradation of muscles is a good high good moderate to high amounts of protein, which would be between 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilograms of body weight, but also the strength training. If that's the main goals that you want to go over for, having a good body composition, high protein would be the most appropriate recommendation for you. Now, thinking about longevity is two things that doesn't really go together. most recent studies brings to us that you should have between zero point 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram. So it's two different goals. Of course, if you are a healthy female, just 30 years old or close to 30 or, mid 30s, you might be more concerned of keep your lean muscle mass rather than thinking about how you look over 70 and your longevity. That doesn't mean having high protein will go completely against to longevity.
Okay. So we hear a lot about the anti-inflammatory diet as well. A lot of people and females mainly look into having an anti-inflammatory. What do you think about that? Is that effective? Is it not?
I wouldn't say that is a diet, a specific diet that is a anti-inflammatory, but I would say more having a good, well-balanced diet will have anti-inflammatory response. Simple as having the appropriate amount of fruits and vegetables, the typical 5 a days. Most people in Europe does not achieve the amount, the 5 a days. Having the recommended amount of protein, water, physical activities, and having a well balanced diet again would be enough for your anti inflammatory system, not to follow a specific diet with the aim of having a anti inflammatory response.
Okay. Um, what makes weight loss difficult? Is it the fact that people can't adhere to the diet, or is it the training aspect? What do you think? Is there something more important than the other, or is it both in combination that will get you there? And after how long effectively do you start to actually notice, for as a client, when do they start realizing, okay, this is working for me? Is it after a month or two? Like, because a lot of people come to PTs, to personal trainers, and they say, oh, I want to train for 2 months, 3 months. Is that accurate to measure, or is just depending on the person?
Firstly, what's most important? A very good training does not compensate a bad diet. So the diet needs to be in place first. Thinking about a resistance training of 60 minutes, depends on the level of the training that you do, we will have an average of 300 to 400 calories expenditure. You could easily have 300 calories having a Kit Kat, for instance. It's very easy to have 1,000 calories, even for some of the females, by having 4 slices of Domino's pizza.
Right.
So it's much easier to intake the calories than spend the calories. That's a fact. Now, I would say diet is where most people struggle the most. Why? Because the to stick to the diet day in, day out, and especially on the weekend, is really hard for most people. And the main reason I would say is because lately, I mean, for many, many years, modern society found comfort in food is very common. If the person is sad, this person will eat to feel the comfort. If you need to celebrate, we're going to a birthday, let's eat.
Mm.
If we need to, for instance, to socialize, most forms of socializing is involved alcohol and hyperpalatable food. Hence why it's very difficult to people to stay on a diet for a long period of time. It's not many people that can stick to a diet for over 2 weeks. And those are the main reason why. What's the other questions?
Okay, so continuing to that, my question there was, so both aligned.
Time frame.
Yeah, so time frame, one, and also both of those in conjunction is what makes you help, with your weight loss. Is that what actually makes that client go through the process of their weight loss? What's more important is my question. More important is for you to be on the training and your diet be 50-60. Like, what's the ratio there? Or is it equal?
I don't like the ratios. But having where you need to apply mostly is the diet. The diet should be 7 days a week. The training, you can have good results training 2 to 3 times a week. So the diet is where it needs to be a lifestyle.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Time frame. It really depends on the adherency and how this client will be on the diet without cheating, without having many things out of the diet. If he's someone that is really good to follow a plan, 12 weeks, if the goal is weight loss in a healthy way, let's thinking about 800 grams to 1.2 kilos a week, making more rounding up easier calculation. 12 weeks, let's do 10 kgs. And remember, it's much easier to lose body fat than gain muscles. So a very good target to start with is 12 weeks. 16 weeks, even better. However, many people, before they are ready to go in a 12 weeks transformation, they will need a preparation beforehand. It's not many people that can just say, okay, let's do a 12 weeks transformation. If they never diet before, if they still need how to train, how to perform it, any technique of execution, and they have no clue about exercise, they will probably need longer time. But if it's someone that really train, is someone that is very committed to follow the diet, 12 weeks is a very good time.
Now let's talk about, you also prep like athletes to do competitions, and how different is that, your work around working with an athlete as opposed to working with a regular client? Is there a difference with these two?
Yes. Is a difference between working with athletes comparing to work with general population. With an athlete, we need precision, target, and commitment. That's super important. Because if with an athlete we have a target date, every single mistake can compromise the final results. If it's a general population, even if they have a target, but it's not a super specific target, if it's a female that wants to look good for wedding and that needs to happen in 12 weeks, if one day out she decides to have a glass of wine, that it will not really interfere on the final results. If it's a bikini competitor, 12 weeks, let's say 12 weeks preparation and 4 weeks out from stage, having a glass of wine depends on the genetic of the individual that might affect with some weight gains, water retention, or even making the look a little bit softer, which that by a point is a very high performance sport or show. Some people would not consider as sport, and a small mistake can cost the first place for then drop to second place.
Mm.
That's the main difference between general population and athletes.
Okay. And a different topic now, moving on. For someone, obviously, you're already in that range of over 40s, males. Is there something that you can put out there as advice in regards to training? There's a lot of people that haven't started training and usually tend to come to train because they have medical issues, or the general practice has said, you need to go and train. What is your advice with your experience and with the experience that you have of clients coming to you around that age range?
I tend to say it's much easier to start to train, to attend to the gym, and to have a routine because you want to, prior a medical advice. Now, for a over 40 male that just starting up, do not think that it's too late. Over 40, you can certainly, and I did with myself and I did with clients. Over 40, you can certainly achieve your best physique condition ever over 40. That's a fact. Now, feel difference between when you're 40 and you start in the gym, you're starting to exercise, to do strength training, is that is some details, some I would say care you must have before just walking and go under a barbell and squats with weight without warming up, without a preparation or a mobility. 20 years old, doing that, it's most probably nothing will happen. But if you're over 40, warm up, cardiovascular, the CV, the mobility is just as important. So it's the only thing that changed in that perspective is you need a preparation before you start your training. Me, for instance, the other day I pulled my hamstring doing, sports days activity. I felt I was super fit, but I was running for, doing a sprint, probably less than 100 meters. Then I felt my hamstring. So warm up, mobility is so important. By all means, over 40, you start training, you still can have great results. If you're starting today, 40 years old, I can guarantee within 1 year, you can achieve a physique, competitive level physique body.
Okay. So you yourself have obviously had the transformation of your body,
Yes.
and you've obviously competed as well. What would
Masters over 40.
so you say now is your best shape, like you're in your best
Absolutely.
shape? Has that been harder for you past your 30s? It's been similar? It's been, the same? Is it difficult?
That's a very
The question
interesting
is,
question. It's been slightly harder in terms the body response when I was younger and 12 weeks preparation. I remember by seeing the body fat degradation slightly faster. What has changed? The mind, a mature mind. After 40, I know what I want and I do it for myself. And if I say to myself that I will do my cardio every single morning, I will do it. When you're younger, you sometimes have more distraction and you can find yourself a little bit confused. Should I do it today, skip or not? So mindset wise, mentality over 40 tend to become a lot easier because you're well determined as you are not a teenage, not a baby anymore. Don't need to external validation as much. So it becomes easier.
okay. So can you agree that there are some days, because a lot of people would relate to this as well, there are days that, you feel like you don't want to do exercise, you don't want to go to the gym. How, like, what's your advice on that? Because there's days that people are, come the weekend, especially, I think people associate the fact that, it's the weekend and they want to rest. And how do you put yourself in your mindset of, I have to do it? How do you work around that yourself? Because that can probably help for so many other people listening to you to understand how come this person, he wakes up and even if he doesn't want to go, he goes, he's there, he does it. How, like, how do you do it?
Discipline. Discipline. It's not everyone, like I used to think before. Everyone that wants to do it, they will get it done. It's not that way. It's not that simple.
But you yourself having the experience of with family is harder. So, you have your daughter that wakes up and wants to go to the park straight away, and you got a family event going on that same day. Like, do you change your schedule? Like, do you adapt to what's happening? Do you just skip this completely? Like, you don't participate in family events because it's hard to juggle everything at the same time and do everything.
Organization's key. Prioritize your priorities. First thing comes first. Organize your week in advance. If you have, like I have, my daughter wakes up at certain times, try to fit your workouts before, do the meal prep the night before, organize everything around. And yes, will be a day for everyone, including me, that you don't want to do it. You'll be days where you have so much temptations. You have someone to probably visiting you. You have an event. You have these. How do you do in that moment? That will apply maturity. That will apply into your mind. So you will think, I will decide to suffer the pain and the consequence of a failure, of not doing it, of skipping, frustration, or I will suffer the consequence of not attending to that event. I will suffer the consequence of my family judging me. Say, oh, you at this birthday, but you eating your meals. That's not nice. Sometimes you feel guilty. But you also will feel guilty, for sure, if you ever goes and the target day has arrived and you're nowhere near to where you would like to be. So it's choice. Remember, every single choice you make, you will lose and you will say no to something. So acting as an adult, you will have to pick and say, look, I love the the family events. I love to going out with friends, but I love more to look in a certain way. I love more to read my books and become smarter. So prioritize is the first thing. Organization is the second. And that all becomes to a good and well disciplined person. And that's not easy. That's not for everyone. I've trained hundreds and hundreds of people, and it's very few that is able to say no to instant and immediate gratification and thinking about long term. That needs a training and time.
Quick question as well. Something that's trending a lot, and it's the aids that there are for weight loss, like the Monjaro and all these other things. Very briefly, tell me what's your opinion on this, and is it useful for someone that's looking to lose weight to use, and for how long do you think it's necessary or safe to use this? Because I've heard a lot of things. You get a lot of muscle loss as well, along with the weight loss, and then it messes up your internal health. What's your opinion?
It's an excellent tool. It's a great tool. It's a very good medicine, and it's been approved through, the Medical Association, FDA, and the responsible in different countries. It's fantastic. It's the most effective one lately. It's another one coming up. I prefer to not saying the name yet, as I'm not sure if that has been approved in UK, which is even better. And yes, I think it will be very much beneficial for many people. But we need to look first at the recommendations. Diabetes, someone has diabetes type 2, obesity for obese people. But what I am against is to illegal use of it. Many people selling nowadays on, using WhatsApp. Is for everyone. It's for many people using because they lazy and because they don't want to diet, because they don't want to feel, the hunger, and is to avoid the physiological feelings. That is not sustainable.
Right.
That is not a sustainable approach, because if you're using a LP1 analogo like Mounjaro, Ozempic, and you have none of those pathologies, for instance, as soon as you stop, the hunger will come back. However, if you have the, professionals alongside helping you how to adjust your diet, how to adjust your training, the muscle loss that you've been seeing on the media, the mainstream media, reported lately, which is a huge number. Most people that are not having the recommended amount of protein, and people are not doing resistance training. Have in mind, it's so important to have the resistance train along and the recommended amount of protein. And the third, and probably the most important, sometimes is a psychologist need, because the habit needs to change.